Hey guys, Lucas Green here, and I am back with another awesome video. And today I will be discussing the top 10, ranking the Ben 10 episodes from season 1. This was originally going to be a collaboration video, but due to technical difficulties on streaming services, me and Adam had to basically go separate and put that both on our separate channels. So my version of the ranking will be on my channel. Then Adam will put his rankings on his channel, and then you can see both of ours together on the archive channel. So that's the plan. Anyway, let's just get through this, ranking the episodes real quick, so I can get this out of the way and move along. Because I've been doing this ranking for like several times now, and I get tired of doing the same dialogue over and over again. But let's just recap this. So at the number 13th spot is the Old People episode where Ben and his family go to the old people place to visit his Aunt Vera. Aunt Vera is a character. She's a bit one-off there, but we'll get to that when I discuss one-off characters. As for the episode itself, though, it's about Ben's habit, take that he is to spend part of his summer vacation with his aunt, who doesn't seem to like very much. She's a bit awkward for him. And then you have, Gwen and Max are easily welcomed with her. And then it's revealed that later on there's this alien race called the Limax who are taking all the old people so they can eat them, while the young people, they don't want them because they're not tender or juicy enough for their liking. So they use body swap imposters to get in there and try and sneak them from behind people's backs. So there is a bit of. The only thing good about it, I suppose, is at the end when Aunt Vera admits that she may know that Ben is an alien hero. But apart from that, and of course the villain, one of the Limax being Morty, who is the most intimidating of the Limax. I feel like they're the only two saving graces there. So other than that, it's really kind of a drag for me. So that's why the Old People episode of Ben 10, heck, I can't remember its name. The episode of this episode very well. So as it stands, though, the episode of the Overtime episode is my least favorite of the all of the original series, maybe, but I know for a fact it's my least favorite of season 1. Moving on to the next spot on my list, I think it's number 12 because 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Yeah, I'm up to date. But yeah, number 12 is Side Effects, which is the debut of Clancy. This is a bit better because we have somewhat of an idea for the episode with the whole tearing my home down, building something new kind of deal. It's got like the elements of a good episode. We've got the whole side effects with Ben gets a cold and like his aliens also get the cold and he has to try and deal with that. So there's a bit of an interesting dynamic there, but it also does create its own problems in its villain and its hero by having them. Well, I said how good it is and how interesting that we have with the villain and the hero. It's also contradicting as well with the villain's motivations and the cold itself being contradicting. So there is that for you too. So its strength is also its greatest weakness there. So that's what kind of drags down the episode of Side Effects. Moving on to the next episode, which is number 1. That's 12. This is 11. Which is the Megawatt episode. Again, I think it's called Tourist Trap. The only two good elements of this episode are Megawatt and the Mayor for his cynical dialogue, and of course Megawatt himself, who is the insane villain. But it's just another episode that drags, kind of like the Old People episode, where you have Max trying to take them to this place with incredible sights of like the world's biggest fishbowl or the world's toothpicks or whatever like that. And then you've got the giant rubber band ball which contains the alien known as Megawatt, and yes, they do later confirm that Megawatt is an alien. So aside from those two elements, it doesn't really save the episode from being kind of dry and forgettable. But yeah, that's the episode of Megawatt. Moving on, the next episode on my list is the Kraken debut, or I should say the Kraken episode, because this creature I don't think ever returns. It's basically an episode to get Ripjaws more in the water there. It's nice to have Ben fight against different creatures besides aliens and stuff like that. So having like a mythological creature like the Kraken is an interesting choice. Then of course it drags. So that's one of the good elements. The other two good elements, I would say, well, there was something else. Um, I think it's the other element that was good was Captain Shaw as this one-off side character. But that'll be going on to him when I get to one-off side characters. But he's another element that helps the episode get some more pride than the other ones with the whole Jaws reference there. As for the villain is kind of weak because you had just another human villain called Jonah who's pretending to be like this environmental protection of fish, but it turns out he's actually a poacher disguised as an environmental group. So yeah, so the environmental messages kind of all hit on the nose right there, which kind of is. It all depends on. For me, I'm tired of this message. Like, I'm tired of seeing this episode done. I mean, I understand why for the sake of kids, but at the same time, it doesn't stop me from getting tired of it. So at the same time, while this episode has some good moments, I feel like its cliche moments bring it down quite a bit for me. That's just why I'm not a big fan of this episode. But yeah, Kraken is okay. I'll take it over all ones. Next up is the small problem episode, which is where Ben is stuck as Grey Matter for a majority of the time. And while it does kind of drag with the one-off side character Hal, who is essentially a geek nerd who believes in aliens, and for some reason the villain of the episode, Enoch, has him in his clutches. He's probably so desperate to get any sort of hint at an alien artifact, he'll just go to nerds for it. So there's that. And I don't understand why Hal himself is working with these guys, because like the only reason I can think of is because he wants to be part of their group. I guess that's the only reason I can think of. But yeah, throughout this episode we have Ben as Grey Matter stuck inside a house and doing this Tom and Jerry routine until the climax where he's taken to Enoch himself. But yeah, it's interesting to see how we get Ben stuck as a one alien for a whole episode, majority of an episode, and he gets to know the alien a bit better, know that Grey Matter is more useful than he thought. So I feel like there's some good stuff implied there. And when he turns back into Ben, he's upset and he's stuck. So yeah, it just gives Grey Matter a bit more praise than he normally is. Even though he's the smallest, he is actually the smartest. So that's what it does for you. Moving on, the next episode on my list is The Last Laugh, which is essentially the Zombozo debut episode on the Circus Freaks as well. While Adam isn't really a fan of this episode, it does have some interesting moments with like the Zombozo Nightmare Fuel scene, and then you've got like Ben trying to conquer his fear, and we have some hints of Ghost Freak there at the end. So. And of course, Gwen's life is on the line, which further develops Ben's character. So there are a few elements in that episode that boost it up a bit higher for me than where Adam normally puts it. But I can understand why he ranks it a bit low too. So yeah. Anyway, though, that's all I've got to say about The Last Laugh. Moving on to the episode known as The Alliance, which is also, I believe, the villain is Rojo. I mispronounced it as Mojo. But yeah, that's another interesting episode where we have. It starts off with these thugs, and it turns out they're women, and Ben doesn't want to hit the women, which is personally I don't understand. Like, I would like to treat genders equally here, so like men and women and children both, and all that, so we're all equal rights. But no, because they're women, he's not going to take them down. So that's what, and that leads to Max getting hurt and taken to the hospital. And then, meanwhile, Rojo gets... The drones also showed up back there, and she gets merged together with them with the drones. So she becomes powerful. Vilgax tries to gain contact with her, and he wants her to go after the Omnitrix, which is, I think, where we get the debut... No, it was Haunted when we got the debut of the name of the watch. But yeah, but this is where we get the debut reveal of the villain, of Vilgax himself, when Ben goes upgrade at the far end and defeats Rojo that way. As it stands, though, it's a good development episode for Ben, as well as, Gwen gets some character development there too, but it's mainly a Ben episode, understanding, like, if I wasn't wearing this watch, we wouldn't be in this mess, and he feeling like it's better if I stay away from you guys. So he was going to basically do like a runaway type of thing, which is kind of which would kind of be an interesting thing to see how that would work. But I'm glad everything was worked in the end. So there is some good character development for Ben, as well as some hints of the finale there with Vilgax. So there are some elements there that save the Alliance episode. Moving on to the debut of Kevin 11, which is a good episode in its own right, where we finally introduced to Kevin 11, the anti-Ben, if you will. He's 1 year old. He's one step dangerous. It's like, what if Ben crossed the line? What if Ben went bad, basically? Now, I will say this about Kevin 11's character in general. I do prefer him as like a human who has powers, so we have more variety. But it turns out an alien force or ultimate alien, whatever, they contradict that by saying, "Oh, he's an Osmosian," or what it was, like an absorbing race species, which I don't really like the idea. But I'll probably get into much more when I have encountered that stuff in Alien Force or Ultimate Alien. And as it stands, though, this episode is kind of a good one where we see that both Max and Ben get into an argument. "You're not my father," cliche, which leads to Ben running off, and of course develops Ben's character again, where he learns that what's the right and wrong thing to do is. So he learns like not to, take his powers for granted and use them for selfish deeds, which is what Kevin does to get his revenge and get what he wants. So when he figures out that, people are going to get hurt, Kevin's like, "I don't care, it's all about me," while Ben does think of the people, and he becomes a better person because of how he sees himself through Kevin's eyes, and that's what makes him a better person later on down the road. And we see these two characters take their own paths, while Kevin goes on a quest for power to get power and revenge. Ben goes on a redemptive quest trying to redeem himself for what actions he did. So I felt there's a lot of good. I think Adam was a bit concerned of why I put it this low. It's just that I think the other episodes were a bit better in my opinion. That's just me though. But yeah, as it stands, I feel like the Kevin 11 debut episode is interesting, and it does foreshadow events for the Framed episode in season 2, which we did watch, which is pretty awesome. We are rewatching these episodes for stuff because it is fun. Benton is awesome. Moving on now to the next episode on the list, which is Washington DC, or BC I should say, which is the debut episode of Dr. Animo, which is the second episode of the first season. It's got a lot of creative elements. Once again, Ben gets character development, of course, in this episode 2, where he is essentially wondering, like, do I deserve a reward for all the good things I do, or should I not? And the message is being a hero of his own reward, which I want to say he learns, but it's kind of hard to tell. But he does kind of learn it. I feel like he learns it at the very, very end when Animo's taken into his car, so there is kind of an understanding of that moral. There is a bit of this is another thing through the show where it's like inconsistent of what humans will establish as an alien or not. Like, what is Ben there or not? Because, like, we have, for example, in this episode, we have these two robbers, and they're being attacked by Heat Blast, and when Heat Blast has them captured, he turns back into Ben, and they don't seem to put two and two together that this fire dude was the kid, but no, it's just the kid. Let's get the cash and leave. But yeah, there are, of course, and as for with Animo's debut, we get some creative ideas with like mutations of the animals, so there is some good stuff there, and there are some funny jokes with like when Gwen's taken by the bird, she regrets like spending time with her grandpa and stuff like that. So there are some elements that help boost it up there. It's pretty engaging there, so I think it's a fun ride. More so than Kevin. That's just my personal opinion. Anyway, moving on to my number 4 spot, I believe. I'm keeping track of this because I've only got 4 episodes left to count. Lucky Girl. Lucky Girl is, well, Adam doesn't like this episode. I find it interesting because it develops a character that hasn't really been in the spotlight, which is Gwen, where we see that she wants like the attention that Ben has. So, and this gets to an interesting debate. Like, whoever has, like, if you didn't have the Omnitrix, then I would have to get all the attention that you. Which is kind of true. Like, whoever has the watch will get the attention, both good and the bad. Which is obviously clear in this show, as everyone's out to get you, like in the Hunted episode, which I'll cover in later down the road. But yeah, as it stands, giving character development for Gwen with the new villain Hex, as he loses a charm, which is the luck charm, and Gwen gets it so she can have her own powers and her own identity as Lucky Girl. Who Adam isn't really a fan of this superhero character either. The suit, the black cat gives you good luck type of feel. Lucky Girl has her own unique fighting style, I should say. It's not really fighting style, it's more like luck goes her way and she just lets things happen that way. It all depends on what you prefer. Do you prefer Gwen as a sorceress or prefer Gwen as Lucky Girl? I think I prefer Gwen as as the sorceress. I feel like because we get more time with that, I would appreciate it would have been she was a human, gets Charmcaster's book, and she learns magic that way instead of, oh, she's an alien being too. Like, really? We have to keep doing aliens? I mean, having Ben be the only alien member of the family was fine, but to keep doing all of them as aliens, it kind of gets overblown there, so tone it down there. Anyway, as it stands, though, there are the few inconsistencies here are like, I would say, yeah, this is probably not Hex's best episode, but, and of course, like the forearm, when he went forearms, he was at forearms for maybe a bit too long, so the timer is inconsistent once again. And of course, there are a few like, there's luck in there, but there's also like, really, that happens. But yeah, most of the contradictions can be avoided because of luck due to magic. So there are a few plot holes and stuff, but most of them are avoided by the luck charm. So there's that for you. As it stands, though, Lucky Girl is an interesting episode, and it was nice to see some character development for Gwen. And she learns at the end she could have more power than she ever imagined, but she destroys it because like it's better to be yourself. So yeah, and then of course she outsmarts Ben at the end with the videotape recorder. So there are some hints that Lucky Girl, even though she doesn't have her powers, she still has her Gwen charm. See what I did there? But yeah. Anyway, though, that's it for the Lucky Girl episode. Moving on to Hunted, which is a very good episode, as it's Wildex is impatient with his drones. He decides to send some professional trained mercenaries to go and give him the Omnitrix, but he's obviously going to intend to backstab them and get the Omnitrix from them anyway without giving them money, because I don't count Wildex as a loyal guy at all. Yeah, because I remember, like, I'm thinking of a different villain entirely, but I don't think Vilgax is going to keep his word at all. But anyway, he sends down the bounty hunters down to get the watch. They do find it. First Crab finds it, then Ben takes them out. And there is a message here like, you shouldn't always pick muscling aliens to solve your problems. The other aliens that you wouldn't suspect to use could be useful too, which is how Ben takes out the bounty hunters one by one. First Crab, then 6-6. And we also get introduced to Tetrax, who is actually an undercover dude who's trying to get the Omnitrix from Vilgax, because the last time he worked for him, his planet was destroyed because of it, and he was kind of responsible for that, and he doesn't want to have that incident repeated again. My camera's a bit wobbly there. Whatever. That is wobbly. It's still wobbling. Whatever. I'm not sure why it's wobbling. But it is wobbling, which is weird. I suppose what I'll do is I'll let it wobble, and oh, there we go. There we go. I'll let it wobble, I suppose, and I'll just wrap this video up because I'm almost done here. Might as well do. I mean, it could be worse. Hopefully the wobbling doesn't bother you guys too much. But yeah, let's just go through this. Come on, Hunted. So yeah, he takes out the bounty hunters one by one. Oh god, it is bothering me too much. Let me just grab the camera from here. The wobbling seems to have stopped a bit. It's there, but not as bad. Anyway, though, so yeah, Hunted is, like I said, makes a new friend, that with Tetrax and stuff. So overall, it does get some good character development for Ben. Moving on to Secrets. Yes, that is my number 2, so obviously number 1 is going to be number 10. Secrets is an interesting episode as it's the finale. It's fun, the reveal of Vilgax with a better form, his cybernetic form, which is his form we'll see throughout the series. Then, of course, basically Vilgax captures Ben with little effort and plans to chop the watch off. Max finally reveals that he's been a plumber this entire time, and he's got some history of Vilgax. There's a big epic fight at the end. Ben switching between different aliens, and of course we get finally the revelation of an overpaying story with the Vilgax, and of course he supposedly dies, which is not true at all, but we'll see him again, and it's a nice weightlifting episode, finally getting the mystery of Max revealed. But yeah, that's what I've got to say about it. Moving on, and then there were 10. The debut episode of the series is probably for me the best episode because it's so nostalgic. Ben finally getting his powers, All the events set into place. Gwen's rivalry between Ben, Max's establishment as a plumber is there. Vilgax is waiting for the Omnitrix. The drone is an iconic symbolism of Ben 10, where he first fights the drone and stuff, and the transformations are all very memorable at all. So there's a lot of good memorabilia for this episode, which puts it up as a good pilot. Also, we see this footage reused in Omniverse, and the drone is the drone plot is reused for Protector of Earth. So that's looking forward to, and I'm going to end this video now because, as you can tell, there's a bit of like a lag on my camera. For some reason, it's wonking around. But nonetheless, I got through this regardless of the wonk or not. So that's the season 1 episodes ranked. In just a bit, I'll be doing the villains, and then I'll be doing one of characters, and I'll be done. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys for more videos coming your way. Next one, like always, peace.